Hi, and welcome to the next Tao in a Minute. This particular segment is a question and answer where I'm going to be answering some emails that have been kind of coming in from either Facebook or from current students I have. One of the biggest questions is, how do you live in the moment but still plan for the future? And the answer is yes. Yes is the answer. There are 3 house rules that we have to really sort of embrace when you're on a mystic or you're on a self-internal cultivationist path. The first one is paradox. Everything in this life, if it's real, is a paradox. Okay, it has to be yes and it has to be no simultaneously. The best way to understand this is if you come to somebody and you say, "Do you love me?" They are both going to say yes, but then they have to concede they don't know everything about you. They don't know everything about themselves. They don't have enough information to be able to say unequivocally, "Yes, I love you unconditionally," because to love somebody unconditionally also has to unlove them. I know that's very, very difficult, but let's take the question itself and make it very practical. If you live in this moment, you are planning for the future. If I am a farmer and I say, okay, I want to have a crop in the fall. For me to have a crop in the fall, I don't have to be looking at the calendar and the almanac for the fall. I need to be knowing what is in front of me right now. For example, it's spring here in the West. We have to plant, we have to till, we have to mulch, we have to manure, and we have to sow. And by doing that, we are planning for the future, but not at the expense of the present moment. When people are looking ahead, they're trying to see unforeseeable circumstances and then mitigate them. But that's kind of the point of being unforeseeable, isn't it? You can't mitigate it because you have no idea what's going to happen. You can't account for rainfall. You can't account for soil salinity at the lower levels. You can't account for water table up or down based on the watershed. There's so many things you can't do. You can only take care of what you need to take care of. But this is where you come to understand that in the whole of the entire universe, everything has exactly what it needs in the moment that it needs it. This is the great Tao. In the West, it's very mechanistic. I have to do X, Y, and Z, then I get A, B, and C. And if I don't do X, Y, and Z, then A, B, and C won't happen, and it'll be my fault, and there's blame and there's shame and all of that game. Then you have sort of the Far Eastern Hindu idea where this is all a dream. It's Layla, it's just Brahma's dream. Don't even worry about it. You've got no part in this. I mean, let's just be honest. You're just a figment of his imagination. So, yeah, it's all good. But then in between those two worldviews is the Taoist worldview, which says, hey, grass does not strive to grow. It does not know what's going to happen in the summer. It does not remember any winter. It just knows in this moment it needs to grow this much right now based on this amount of water and this amount of sunlight and this amount of air. And as it does that, it does it effortlessly, and it lives moment to moment knowing the rain will come. I don't know when, I don't know how, but the rain will come. And it itself only must follow its nature and do its job. This is our job now. If we, as we talked about in a previous episode, get rid of goals, because then we're trying to make an outcome happen. And you are not responsible for outcomes. You are responsible for the action. And this is what it really means to live in the moment. Watch your actions. When people are angry with you, or when people say unkind things to you, you can say, they did this to me, I have a right to react. No, you don't. You have a right to look at your nature. You have a right to look at who you want to be in this moment and say, is retaliation or reaction going to bring me close to that? Or do I get to choose my response? And my response right now is, I choose to be better than I was a moment ago. This has a lot to do with worth. This has a lot to do with valuing yourself. But in this particular episode, we're just going to deal with the concept of being able to say, okay, in this moment, this is what I choose to be. In this moment, we'll now let this moment happen. And this moment, we'll let this happen. There's a saying, be the person now that your future self will thank you for. Well, that requires you to say, who do I want to be? Not who is circumstances causing me to be, not who does my genetics cause me to be, but our decisions create our destiny, okay? So we live and plan now, and we make that now as if we're going to live for another 80 years. there's your paradox. We live in this moment, and if we live in this moment needs to be geared so that if we live 80 more years, this moment will be a credit and an addition to those 80 years versus, well, I mean, I did my best along the way, but I got it together in the last 5 years. No, to live now takes care of the future. To live now, to plant now, will make there be a harvest, okay? So if you have any questions, if there's anything you want clarification on, hit like or hit comments, share it with somebody if you think this will help them. If you have any questions, you can also email me at lau@4dragonschool.com. Okay, until next time, we'll see you on Dow in a Minute.